Again, everybody, behind the camera we have our producer Brent Young, and I want to mention him right off the bat on this My Faith podcast with Homer, Steve the Homer True, and yours truly, Tom Pippins, a couple of sports guys. I'm an ex and he's a current and still very relevant because Brent introduced us to Marty Calderon. They worked together about 20 years ago. As always, Homer leads off with a question on my faith, the journey for you, for me, for Homer, for everybody within the sound of our voices and beyond. And with you, Marty Calderon. Homer?
Before we get to your faith, everybody needs to know who you are and what you're doing.
Okay. Marty Calderon. I'm the Executive Director of God Touch Milwaukee. I'm the founder of the ministry, working with men who are in recovery, men who are returning citizens, and men who are actually doing their jail time at our homes. So we provide housing for men, and within the housing we provide a structure for them to help build them up within their faith and be able to help them with deployment and, of course, a safe environment.
And you've been doing this for how long?
We actually were going on 3.5 years, so we're fairly, in a nonprofit world, we're still an infant. So I mean, we're growing, but God has taken this ministry to levels to where, I mean, it's incredible what He's doing, and it's exciting to be part of this ministry and to be part of what God's plan is. So, and to be able to see these gentlemen when they come to me all broken and just falling apart, and to see how God just restores and builds them up.
Now we get to my faith, from when you were young and when and how it changed you.
Okay. I grew up in, the church. My dad was always had us in church. We were Catholic for a while, and then my dad started going to Pentecostal church. So from going to Catholic church to Pentecostal church on the north side of Milwaukee, it was a pretty big jump. Normal services at a Catholic church were half hour, 45 minutes. Going to church in a Pentecostal church was like 2.5, 3 hours. So we were in church for a while. And then, like I was telling Tom, I grew up in a church, but I didn't know. I knew of Jesus, but I didn't have a relationship with Him. So through, my teens and early 20s and, just really, living a life for myself. Very selfish, very manipulative, very just what can Marty get, and not understanding what can I do for Jesus, even though it was there for me growing up, even with the praying father, seeing things even when I was younger where, my dad my parents were divorced at a young age, and we never went without. It was because my dad was always in the back room at times praying and calling out to God. And I would sneak into the kitchen because his bedroom was like right off to the kitchen, and I would just peek in there and I watch, and he'd always be on his knees praying. And I kid you not, till this day, he's a prayer warrior.
I'll bet he prayed for you.
Oh, he did a lot of praying.
Because you not only didn't buy it, but
yeah.
I look at you and wonder if you've ever thought, how did I stay alive?
Yeah.
Given the environment you must have been in with drugs and alcohol.
Yeah, I shouldn't be here. There was a particular time I think I was 19, 20, still working at ODTC out in Milwaukee with Brent, and I was at a party, my best friend's party, and I'd lock my keys in my car, but I knew how to break into my car, so it didn't even make sense, because I'd be like, I'm going to lock my keys in my car so I don't got to drink and drive, but that didn't happen. And so I was leaving, and I told him I'd take the beer cans and toss them somewhere, and as I was driving home, I must have blacked out, and when I woke up, it was either I was going to go through a guardrail or I was going to take the sharp left. And I knew if I took the left, and this was all coming quick, I'd roll my car, and who knows what would happen. So I took the chance with the guardrail, and I held on to that steering wheel. And I kid you not, this is crazy, okay? Because here I am, intoxicated, and we're smoking weed and all that, so I was just messed up. Holding on to that steering wheel, I kid you not, and I broke through the guardrail, and I was literally airborne coming down. And there's a house right there, so I was coming straight down. But while I was up in the air, all I could do was yell Jesus. I don't know why. held on, Jesus, help
You
me.
didn't say
you know?
Jesus very often.
And I didn't say Jesus very. I wasn't even thinking. But like I said, my praying father. My dad would always
And
cover
your
us
dad
in
raised
prayer.
6 kids, right?
Raised 6 kids, yeah. And so broke the guardrail, of course. Thank God I'm here. Didn't get hurt. And so yeah, living the lifestyle I lived, and I grew up in Milwaukee. Coming back to Milwaukee, even and getting involved in certain situations where.
Was that, if I may, was that the point of conversion right there?
For me?
Or
Oh,
was
heck
it?
no! I thought it would be.
Okay. Okay.
I seriously thought,
Once you got past it, like many of
I'm
us,
in
it's-
jail.
yeah.
I'm sitting here. I'm like, Lord, help me. I won't do it again. But that didn't stop me. Here my life could have been taken.
So when and how did it change?
It changed when I was married to my first wife, and I was using drugs very heavily. Not ever. I wasn't home. We just bought a nice house, and I wasn't home, and I was too busy living my lifestyle. I had just had a son, and she had 2 girls, and so we had a family. And I just came home one night, and she was tired of it, and she locked all the doors on me, and she wouldn't let me in. And we lived in an area over towards the airport where there was a lot of officers that lived in the area and teachers, so it was a very quiet area. And so I was banging on the door, let me in. She wouldn't let me in, and all of a sudden I see squads come, and then to see my son standing there looking at me and getting arrested, and I was like, God, get me out of this one. When I went to jail, because every time I went to jail, my dad would pick me up, and he'd always tell me, you need Jesus. You just need Jesus, boy. And so I was, went to jail, and then in jail I told the Lord, I'm done. I want to live a
For how many times?
Probably 5, 6 times. It's like that guy where you swim way out in the middle of the ocean. He gets tired and he says, "Just get me back to land. I'll swear to you, I'll be good."
Right.
No, I was in the same boat he was, but
This time was different.
this time was different. And I told the Lord, you know what? I promise you, I'm going to go to church. If I get bailed out, I'm going to go to church and talk with somebody. And that morning, I got bailed out. My dad came to get me, and I went to get my car, and I drove to Oak Creek Assembly of God, and I sat there in the office. And the lady's like, "Can we help you?" I go, "I just need to talk to a pastor." For some reason, I don't even know why I picked Oak Creek. And
Pastor Goki?
no, it was Pastor.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just knew him from a long time
Okay.
ago. I didn't know if he was still there.
No, it's Brooks, Pastor Brooks, the pastor who's there now.
Sorry.
So Pastor Brooks came out and said, "Can we help you?" And I said, I just need to pray with the pastor. I go, I told him a little of my story, and he's like, "I got the right guy for you." So then he brought another pastor out with tattoos on his arms, and I cannot remember his name. And he took me in his office, and we started talking, and I told him I want to change, and and I just want to live a righteous life, and he prayed with me, and I gave my life to the Lord, and everything was great. I started changing. I started really, started to see my life for the better, and started to know I have a purpose in life now. And now I started to understand what my dad used to tell us when we were younger, and so I faithfully started going to church. I got involved with the ministry called Shalom Ministries.
Wait a minute. This is just amazing. Like, you've gone through this before. Just because you asked for prayer and you're there, this time was different.
Yeah.
What was different?
I just want to change. I was tired.
Seeing your
My
son?
son,
Okay.
what's going to happen with him growing up if I'm not around? Because I was in and out of jail, for drunk driving.
I mean, this is an incredibly strong, maybe you know it now with people you deal with.
Yes.
But this is an incredibly strong change.
Yes.
This is off the charts.
Yeah.
To do it this quickly or
Yeah.
just immediately.
Well, don't, I want to be truthful and honest too, living this life for the Lord is great, but if you don't have a strong and stable accountability partners, it's going to get rough for you, and I started off with people holding me accountable, and I, at the time I didn't mind, but as I started growing in faith, I did have challenges, and setbacks, and but the Lord was always there, and He always told me, "I have a purpose for you," and
What was the accountability that you talk about?
accountability is when being able to talk to someone, I've always felt, I was always the type of guy that kept everything inside me, you know, and I just, you know, I couldn't open up, you know, because of past experiences and whatnot. And because I always wanted to be in control, you know, and accountability, and to me is not being in control, is by being able to listen to others who are encouraging you to do right. To where at times I didn't want to hear it because I'd get frustrated. I'd be like, man, God, where are you? What's going on? And but God always was faithful to me.
How many years ago was this?
This, I was, what, 30, 33? About, 50, no, how old am I? I'm trying to do my math in my head. About almost 15, 16 years ago, 16, 17 years ago. So.
And never wavered.
No, I mean, like I said, you know, there is challenges. I'm not gonna lie to you, there's challenges.
Were you an addict?
Yeah, I was.
Okay. You know the power of addiction, and
Mhm.
we'll talk about how you're paying it forward now
Mhm.
and helping those with addiction. So there were setbacks and what have you. Faith, very powerful,
Mhm.
but you needed the program of healing. So
Yeah.
what was your journey to get to that point to become free and then to be able to pay it forward as you have, Marty?
I knew Craig Harper very well at Teen Challenge. I stayed at Teen Challenge for a little bit, just to really kind of get things, you know, in order, and because I was dealing with legal stuff too, even though I got, you know, even though the Lord, you know, was in my heart, I still had to deal with the legal aspect of why, you know, getting in trouble and, you know, having to go to court and whatnot. So there's things that, you know, there's consequences that I had because of my sin, but the Lord was able to get me through it, through resources such as working with Teen Challenge, such as working with different organizations and whatnot. So, you know, I've always felt that even, I was the type where, I've seen guys where they totally gave their life to the Lord and it was like, boom, no more drinking, no more drugs, no more nothing, you know, and they were just, you know, for me, sometimes it was just like a process. But you know what it was, and I sat back and I really thought about this and I talked to some good friends about it. I really wanted to let go, and I let go of a lot of those addictions, okay? But still there's something in the back of my mind saying, are you sure you want to let go? And that's when that happened, Homer, when I said, Lord, I want to let go of everything, that's when everything snapped. And to this day, you know, no, I don't even think of using or anything like that. You know, it was just like, Lord, I want more of you. I don't want this lifestyle, because if I would have left that door open, I would never be where I am right now, and I would never be able to work with these guys who are struggling. Because now, being able to walk in my shoes, in seeing the struggles that I went through, I see these guys going through those struggles, and I have the answer, and the answer is Jesus. The answer is just, no matter what you're going through, no matter how you're feeling. If you're honest to whoever's holding accountable, if you're able to talk about those, if you're not lying, if you're not trying to be sneaky, God will take that all away from you. And I learned to be honest. Okay, I learned, Homer, to say, Dad, you know what? I really I'm struggling. I want to go drink. I feel like I'm part of me. And he's like, hold on, let's pray. You know, let's get in some scripture. You know, so then I was learning to do that more. And then as I was learning to do that more, I was able to start doing it on my own. So when those thoughts started to come, let me get my word, you know, and then I started reading the word. And then I just put on some worship music, and I just, you know, was getting so, you know, filled with the Lord that those thoughts started to leave like that, you know, so.
I can't imagine the joy your father had to have, given all, I'm sure, the prayers. And that, I would ask him, did you always know God would take care of him, or that there would be a connection? I don't know his answer to that, but I can't imagine the joy for all his prayers to know that they were answered.
And he's a great man, you know, and, you know, it's something, because he told me one day he saw me when I was tore up, under the influence, and he said he was watching me. And I didn't know my dad, he was at a gas station, I was walking to a bar, and he was just watching me, and he told me, he goes, Lord, I see a little boy.
A hurt inner child that needed to be healed.
Or grow up.
Yep. And he said, The Lord told you.